Hi
Hey
Shashank, how
Arjun.
are you?
Hey Arjun, I'm good. How are you?
All good, all good. So excited to have you in the session. As uh, I just introduced you to the viewers as well, and I said that we're going to be talking about clean eating, transparency of food, and nothing else.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Shashank, let's get into it. I think what really inspired me. I was on your website today, and I was seeing your story as well. So you have a personal journey with fitness, and you have a personal journey with clean eating. So it'll be amazing if you tell us about your journey because your story was really inspirational for me.
Sure. I'd love to. As you rightly said, and nothing else is actually the culmination of a personal journey with health and fitness. It actually, all my life, my entire teenage life, my childhood, I've been an obese kid till 19 years of age. Like at 19, I was about 105 kgs. And at 5 feet, 8, 9 inches, that's a lot of weight on one's body. Uh, that was the first time when during engineering I decided to lose weight and I went batshit crazy and I just started crash dieting and running and I lost some 30, I lost some 35, 40 kgs in like 9, 10 months. So it was completely berserk, a bad way to lose weight, but I lost it at that time. Uh, and then I thought that, hey, I am now a fit guy. I am now a thin guy. I can live the life of a thin and fit were the same things for me at that time. So I can live the life of a fit
Sure.
and thin guy now. So I started eating and behaving just the way I used to before that. And no surprises, within 3 years, I was back at 100 kgs. Then I
Okay.
lost it again. This time I thought that I've now overcome it. Uh, it took a while to get it through my thick skull that I am not a thin, fit guy, and those two are not
Okay.
the same thing. So I did this cycle of weight gain and loss about thrice in my life. Is there an echo?
No, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So I did this cycle of plus minus 25 to 30 twice in my life before I realized that, hey, I am clearly not getting some piece of the puzzle. And B, while I might be a little daft, I can't be this stupid that I keep doing the same mistake 3 times over. There must be, something wrong with the external world also, not just with me, that this keeps happening to me, which is what culminated in and nothing else. But that was the journey of my weight loss. And it was after the third weight loss cycle when I started doing my own research about food, nutrition, nutrition labels, how packaged food is marketed, etc., that I started realizing what was the problem with my food and nutrition. And that's when I started writing a blog called fitshit.in,
Okay.
which actually truly is the genesis of and nothing else. So I was writing this blog while I was working at Unilever. So I'm a career Unilever marketer, worked there for about 8 years out of MBA. And at that time, I used to write this blog called fitshit.in. And there I used to bust a lot of myths about food, etc. And a lot of people really took on to fit shit, and they used to read these 1,500 word long articles, and that gave me the confidence that consumers are really concerned about what goes into their food, and rather than just comment about it through a blog from the sidelines, I need to do something real to change the landscape rather than just be a bystander who comments upon things, which I guess was what led to then and nothing else happening. So that's the topsy turvy story in a nutshell.
Very interesting story, and I think for me as well, I resonate with this because I grew up as a very fat kid as well, a very chubby kid, and for me, when I was 16 years old, I lost all my weight and I got my first girlfriend, and then I said, yeah, this is it for me, you know. I'm now made it, and it's life, and but I think the most important thing you said is maintaining it is very very important, and there's nothing like uh, a short term solution. A crash diet or something that happens very quickly is not the answer.
Absolutely.
We need to look at long term sustainability. So Shashank, you
Actually,
mentioned that you
sorry, if I may
no,
add there,
yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
a huge realization was that fitness is not an intervention, it's a lifestyle. And I used to keep treating it as a goal that once I achieve it, it will remain achieved forever. But it took me 3 cycles to realize that it doesn't remain achieved forever. You have to keep achieving it every day,
Yeah.
and hence it's a lifestyle change. That's a mindset change that takes a while to happen, especially when you've been told that, fat and thin are binary opposites, and if you're thin, you're done being fat.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works.
Sure.
It's like a relationship that you have to work on every day.
No, I think what you said is very true. It's not one size fits all, and what works for someone doesn't fit for someone else. We have an interesting comment from Pratyush Raj. He says, "I have not lost weight, but I still have a girlfriend. Help." I don't know what we can help there. But Avi asked a question, and I think this is an interesting one. Avi says, "I've lost 3 kgs on an alkaline diet cleanse in 5 days. Is that healthy?" I guess it's not a one size fits all, but Shashank, what do you think about that?
I think judging anything in a week is unhealthy. So give it a while and keep doing whatever you think is working for you. If you believe that you can do it forever and sustain, then it's healthy. Otherwise, it isn't. That's the only barometer to judge healthy or unhealthy with, which is how sustainable is what you're doing.
So that's a really good point, and I think the other thing that somebody else as well said on a previous live that we were hosting as well was, don't judge someone on their way to fitness or their way to health. Everyone has their own personal journey. So I'm going to go back to your personal journey. Actually, Shashank, you mentioned that you worked at Unilever, and now you do something sort of very different. So what was your experience? Because you guys stand for transparency, you guys stand for reading the fine print in labels. But you worked at a large MNC. So what was your experience there? Uh, what did you what tell us about your journey over the last 8 years, and then sort of where you've got, and maybe some tips, because I really liked the stuff that you guys share on your Instagram page as well, which is sort of decoding or demystifying labels. So tell us more about that.
Sure. So, if I was to condense my 10 years of marketing life in one sentence, I'd say that most packaged food and personal care marketing is what we call claim-based marketing. So,
Sure.
thicker hair in 3 weeks, pimples will go away in 2 weeks, fairer skin in 4 weeks. These are all claims that producers and manufacturers will basically put in some ingredient which allows them to make that claim, and then they will try and sell you a product basis that claim, because they know that you're looking for relief from XYZ problem. You're looking to regrow your hair, you're looking to lighten your skin, and that's the trap that they entrap consumers with. But so I always used to work in the personal care side of things in Unilever, and it never
Yeah.
dawned on me that exactly what we were doing with skin care and hair care is what was happening with food. So on
Yeah.
food, it manifested as low carb, high protein, fat free. All of these are claims, and
Yeah.
consumers. It's very tough to make sense of, oh, this salad sauce says it is 80% fat free, so it sounds healthy, right?
Yeah.
But then you one day realize, oh, 80% fat free actually meant that 20% of it is fat, so it's 80% fat free, right? So that's how claims are made. Or that your no sugar added juice is not really no sugar added, because the pulp that they used in that juice
That's true.
had sugar added in it. But because the juice manufacturer did not add the sugar, they get to claim no sugar added. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, one big problem of my weight loss journey is I used to think that I made healthy choices, that I have replaced my morning breakfast paratha with cereal, or I have replaced my diet, I've replaced my Coke with juice. But I later on realized that, hey, my juice and my Coke have the same amount of sugar. My
Yeah.
cornflakes actually have a ton of sugar, which my paratha never had. So
Yes.
maybe I was better off having my paratha, right? So I think in a nutshell, Unilever taught me that the marketing paradigm of claim-based marketing, which is fine as long as you apply it to skincare, is not fine when you apply it to foods because lives are at stake and health is at stake. Yeah. And hence the idea was born that what if there was a brand of food which said that, hey, we are not going to talk about any claims. We are not going to talk about low carb, high fat, nothing. We're going to talk about ingredients because in food, all that matters is ingredients. When your mom made food at home, she made great food because she made it with great ingredients. And no one ever got fat on their mom's food, right? No matter how much of it they ate. So that was the core insight that why not give consumers a brand which doesn't, turns this marketing paradigm on its head, takes it away from claim based marketing and takes it to ingredient talk, which is the only thing that matters in food.
No, I think what you say really resonates with us. I see our doctor has also, our in-house doctor has also joined the live session. And something and one thing you said was weight loss in 5 days, fair skin in 7 days. And so sort of being a brand in the space selling supplements and medicines, we constantly get questions for, let's say, a weight loss supplement or a weight gain supplement or a sexual wellness supplement saying, can you guarantee me this will work in 7 days, or can you guarantee me this will work in 2 or 3 days? And sort of Ayurveda is a long-term approach to a change in lifestyle, etc. And so it's very tempting for a brand to say, yes, I think it'll work, why don't you try it? But I think
Absolutely.
but I think our doctor, and I've seen her do this, and our team do this as well, is we say, look, we don't have an answer, and we don't know the answer to your question. We know it works differently on different bodies. But what we can tell you is these ingredients and these formulations are good for XYZ. And as long as you're regular with it, you'll see an effect. So we have a question from Deep Satwan. I don't know if that's directed to you. I'm going to ask the question and sort of answer in brief and then move on. He says, what about eating according to your Prakriti? And I think this is a question specifically on Ayurveda. So just for people who don't know about Prakriti or doshas, basically the human body is composed of 5 elements: earth, wind, water, fire, space. And the combination of these 5 elements leads to 3 doshas, or a sort of Ayurvedic personality, or Prakriti, Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. And so it is important, Deep, to eat according to your dosha, to first know your dosha, and then understand what elements are present in your body and control those doshas. Also, people don't understand that doshas change as you sort of, as your life changes, as seasons change. Pitta is something to be kept in control in the summer because it's very heaty. So it is important to eat according to your dosha. But I think Shohit asked a very good question, and that question is something very core to the identity and nothing else, and core to the identity of what you do. He says, what are your thoughts on conscious marketing?
Yeah, so I love that word, conscious marketing. And Shohit, my thoughts are, in about 10 years from now, no other form of marketing will exist. Gone are the days, so let me put it this way. The last 50 years of marketing have existed on information asymmetry. The manufacturers knew far more than the consumers did, so they could lie to them. They could twist facts. They could present only half the picture, and they could do a lot of stuff that they never had to talk about because they never thought they'll get found out. What we call conscious marketing today, which is, taking care of the planet, making sure that ingredients are clean, making sure that we give back to society as much as we take from it, is going to become table stakes in the next 10, 20 years because information asymmetry is gone. If as a company I do some shitty thing today, tomorrow through social media, through WhatsApp, you will find out about it. There is no way I'm getting away with it. Yeah, so I think I actually think that conscious marketing is just going to become marketing. And the sooner you get onto the bandwagon, the better.
So, Shashank, I think you answered the next question, but I'm just going to bring it up. So, our doctors actually asked, why does the regulatory body basically certify these products when they're hidden ingredients? And I think you answered this question as well, which is manufacturers know how to twist the conversation and twist the packaging such that they can sort of be in the loophole of that law, or do exactly what is allowed or permitted without breaking the law, but still sort of
Yeah.
not
No, I'd love
understand
to
what the
take that.
consumer may not know.
That's a great question. I wanna add, I'm so happy you asked it because we keep getting, whenever we do these expose sort of posts, a lot
Yeah,
of people do tell, ask us in the comments, how come you guys know so much? How come FDA isn't stopping it? Right? Uh, I think we all need to realize that big companies have armies of R&D professionals who are tasked not just with, like, marketeers are tasked with finding novel ways of saying stuff which can circumvent rules. R&D teams are tasked with finding new molecules, new chemicals which circumvent definitions. So, for example, when the US FDA said that you have to declare sugar on the pack, they discovered maltodextrin because it doesn't classify as a sugar, so you don't need to declare it as a sugar on the pack. Yeah. The second thing they did was when the FDA said you have, like, I don't know how many people on the call know, if you turn the pack of a food packet, the ingredients are supposed to be listed in descending order of concentration. So the first ingredient on the list should be the highest proportion ingredient in that product, then the second, then the third, and so on.
sure.
Yeah. So now imagine a product where 50% of the product is sugar. Most probably that will be the first ingredient on the list, and hence you will realize, oh shit, this food is largely sugar. What do I
Yeah,
do about it? I break up sugar into three forms of sugar, which is sugar, maltitol, and maltodextrin. One is a sugar alcohol, another is a starch. They do pretty much the same job of sugar, but they're not classified as sugar. And what that does is it allows me to A, say that sugar is not 50%, sugar is 15%, and B, all three of them move down in the ingredient list. So they are no longer the first thing that come up in the ingredient list, right?
yeah.
So there are teams sitting there tasked with this job of circumventing rules. It's not by chance, it is by design. Because FDA cannot police intent. FDA can only police the letter. If you don't follow it in spirit, they really can't do much. There are like crores of food manufacturers in India. Our FSSAI system isn't strong enough to police proactively all of these, and unfortunately, manufacturers don't follow it in spirit.
So I think that's a very good thought, and leads me to my sort of next part of the conversation, which is, look, a lot of folks ask as well, right? There are 10,000 plus Ayurvedic manufacturers in the country. What do I need to do when I'm buying a product, right? And so for Ayurveda, we are very clear. We say, hey, just ensure you buy from a licensed manufacturer, and you can see the Ayurvedic license number on the manufacturer's on the packaging, right? They're supposed to declare. And once the manufacturer is licensed, they should be following at least the regulations for stability, for safety, for all those kinds of things. And so we say, look for that. We say, read the ingredients carefully. We also say, be careful when you see ingredients masked, because there are a lot of products where they don't put, at least in Ayurveda, they don't put the concentration of each of the ingredients. They just put the name of the ingredients and they move on, right? And
Yeah.
so for us as a brand, we're very conscious about adding the ingredients. But Shashank, you are someone who knows a lot about reading a label and what someone should do while reading a label. Look, all of us are now going personally and shopping for essentials. We are being more involved in the grocery experience and the shopping experience in our homes, which maybe a lot of us weren't involved with pre-lockdown. So can you give the viewers some tips on what should you do? Because look, the FSSAI can't regulate everything, and there are people who can find
Yeah.
loopholes, and there are hundreds of thousands of brands in this country, right? So what should I do when I'm reading a label to be sort of knowledgeable and take an informed decision?
Great question. And I think like it's taken me many, many years to come to a simple answer because we've been so confused by the health industry that you don't know whether I'm supposed to look at fats or protein or carb or minerals or vitamins. What do I look at to decide whether food is good or bad? I'll tell you my simple rule. First, let's define what is good food. Good food is food which has maximum nutrition per calorie. In my definition, good food is whatever has maximum nutrition per calorie. Yeah. If you
Okay.
go by that definition, what gives maximum nutrition? Raw whole foods give maximum nutrition. Yeah. Whether it's nuts or dates or vegetables, whatever is raw, whole, minimally processed, not didn't come out of a chemistry lab, is the food that will give you maximum nutrition. So now I actually, whenever I turn a pack, I first look at the ingredients. And if I find more than one or two ingredients which I can't pronounce, which sound like chemicals, which read like E243 and shit like that, I drop it. That's my rule number one. Yeah, that I'm not putting in my body something which I can't even read or recognize, because most probably it is not nutritious. That's the first filter I would say. Make sure that every food that you're having, to the extent possible, we all indulge and we all have our, moments where we want to have that sugary dessert. All of that is fine. But if you're going in with the intent of eating healthy, first look at the ingredients. If the ingredients are raw whole foods, then that's great. The second level, once a food has crossed that a gate of having only raw whole ingredients that you can read, is just look at the macronutrient balance. What I mean by that is there are three macronutrients, which is protein, carbohydrates, and fats. A good food is balanced in these three. It's not overly indexed on carbs, like 90% of it is carbs. Like, for example, cornflakes, 92% of calories in cornflakes is carbohydrates. I wouldn't call it a balanced food. Yeah.
Sure.
A good balance is, a good thumb rule to go by is 40-40-20, which is 40% of calories come from carbohydrates, 40% comes from fat, and 20% comes from protein. Find food which is as close to this proportion as possible. And this is step two. Even if you do step one and don't go into the math of it, you'll be fine. But yeah, these are the two steps of finding nutritious good food in my book.
So people are very happy with the knowledge. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up and a lot of people who are just listening to the conversation. And Shashank, I think that was a really sort of actionable insight, right? And a very basic point which you mentioned, which is, if you don't understand it, you don't have to accept that I don't know, and so whatever they're saying must be right. You have the right to question it, and you should understand it. If they are making it or sort of complicating it to a format where you don't understand it, you should view that with suspicion. That, look, I don't know what this
absolutely.
is. Either I read up about it, or maybe this is just a way to make sure I don't understand it.
Absolutely. If you don't get it, then it's by design. So don't fall for it.
So Shashank, I think something that's at the top of everyone's mind right now is immunity, right? And most of us are stuck at home and sort of have been on a prolonged lockdown in this time. And I know we've been talking to a lot of Ayurvedic experts and a lot of folks in our team as well. And I think other than supplementation, right? And supplementation is great, it's important, and obviously we sell supplements, so that's great. But food is very important, and eating is very important to immunity. So in this time, can you share with us some of the tips that you are following personally during this lockdown that's keeping you healthy and immunized?
Sure. I think, Arjun, I have a slightly contrary point of view when it comes to immunity. Again, because maybe it's a bias. I come from a slightly cynical place where, I'm seeing a lot of food brands have started claiming that our food gives you immunity, our food gives you immunity.
And I'm seeing a lot of random things which are definitely not immunizing, that are claiming immunity as well.
And, if you start going to the depth of it, what is immunity? The body has certain blood cells which help you fight off infection. How will a random food suddenly start giving you immunity? There are a lot of questions around it. So I have a slightly more holistic point of view when it comes to immunity. I've seen that I keep the fittest and I don't get sick when I do three things. When I am exercising very regularly, my respiratory system. Okay, so sorry, let me first say this, that your body is a combination of three systems, right? It's the muscular system, it's the respiratory system, and the cardiovascular system. Yeah. When you keep all these three systems well, is when you remain well. Yeah. And it's within the cardiovascular system that your immune system, etc., falls in. So, but all the sickness travels in through the respiratory system. Yeah. So when I'm exercising, my respiratory system, my tract, etc., remain very clean. So I find that I contract very little illness from outside in the first place. Yeah. And secondly, when I'm eating as per my previous answer, which is when I'm eating whole raw foods, which are macronutritionally balanced, after that, I just add one more point when it comes to immunity. There are a few micronutrients, which are certain vitamins and minerals, and vitamin C being the primary one when it comes to immunity, and certain stuff like magnesium, etc., which I try and track sometimes, but not very scientific about it. Like I know that dates are good. I know that turmeric, etc., is good, so I'll make sure that I put in a spoon into my milk, etc., once or twice in a day types. So sorry, once in 2 days types. So I don't get too scientific about it. I've just seen that if I eat macronutritionally balanced, if I work out regularly, and if I just get a little more serious about 2, 3 micronutrients, my immunity generally stays up. I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't know what's the biology behind me being this, but I'm just sharing my personal experience that when I do these 3 things, I remain sorted.
No, I think that's a really important point, right? And I think a lot of folks right now are obsessing on sanitizers and immunity boosting supplements and stuff like that. And we sell a sanitizer, but I tell all my friends and family as well. And I've been going to work for the last 45 days, and we're not sanitizing 20 times a day, even if we're going to the office, right? And so really busting these myths of immunity is really important. And what you said, two things really resonate with me. One is immunity doesn't just come from popping something or eating something. Immunity and health is a way of life, right? And that's what
Yeah.
Ayurveda believes as well. Ayurveda is the science of life. We believe in a sort of routine, a daily routine. And so practicing yoga, exercising, eating healthy, like we're telling folks as far as possible, stay away from processed food in this time. And if you can, kick the butt, stay away from drinking and smoking, because that reduces your immunity as well. So
Yeah.
that's to me really important.
And I
Shashank,
think
one.
this time, sorry, if I may add one thing, Arjun, because of the current times that we are in, that please don't let anyone tell you that immunity is a button that they can help you switch on. It's a building that you build brick by brick. If you haven't started, start it now. It's a great time to start. But remember that it's a building that you'll have to build brick by brick. It's not a button that some food or some pill will help you switch on. It won't happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's exactly what I believe as well. It's not going to happen instantly. You can obsess on having vitamin C tablets. You can obsess on having amla and all of these things, but it's a building, and that's a super analogy which I'm definitely going to use as well. So Shashank, one last question before we sort of wrap up this session, and something that I've been thinking a lot, right, in this time. Um, a lot of us don't know when this is going to end, right? We don't know when we'll be able to resume life as usual. We don't know when we're able to go back to the old normal. And now we're talking about all of this new normal, etc., all of that. So, what do you do personally to stay positive in these times when you don't know when the end is sort of is coming?
So on this one, let me admit that I hate the lockdown. Uh,
Okay.
I am a very outdoorsy person. I don't like sitting at home at all. I do my best work of thinking when I'm meeting people or I'm sitting at some cafe working out, working, etc. So I'm not going to pretend like I have the answer to remaining positive in this times. These times I am struggling myself. Having a lot of work to do, trying to keep a fledgling company alive helps. Uh, and the other thing, the two things that I've gone back to is I'd stopped running, which was my first love
Yeah.
when I'd started trying to lose weight. Since there is no gym, no weights, nothing else that I can do, I've started running around my colony and I've gone back to that, and that gives me a lot of peace.
Sure.
And I had forgotten how happy that made me because of all the endorphins that flow in right after it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And because of the startup and all, I had lost all the time to read. So I found time again to read. But having said that, I there are one in every 3 days. It's all gloom and doom, and I hate it, and I don't like it much.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm not the pillar of positivity that I'm supposed to be. But I don't like this time much at
No,
all.
but
These
but
two things
but
have.
honesty is really important, right? And I resonate with what you're saying because I'm a runner as well. I really enjoy running. Nikki's joined this session as well. I know she's a runner, and I run in my building, but I'm bored of running round and round after a while, right?
Yeah,
You
man,
run
it's
a
brutal.
500-meter
Yeah,
round 12 times, and you feel like you're
yeah,
just done doing that. So
yeah.
I totally agree. I think for me, this has been a super sort of informative session. I've learned a lot as well. As I told you, Shashank, I went gluten-free and sugar-free about 8 months ago, and so I have your products for all of you guys who haven't. Please try and nothing else. Their products are amazing. You can find them on
Thank you.
Instagram. You can reach out to Shashank. He's talked about his blog Fitshit, which I've never seen, so I'm definitely going to see it. And this is me signing off. My name is Arjun Vaidya. I'm the CEO of Dr. Vaidya's. For any Ayurvedic queries or anything else, please feel free to DM us and nothing else.
Thank you so much, Arjun. This was so much fun. It's always great to speak with people who share your own, approach to health and fitness and lifestyle. It's super fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Shashank. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay immunized. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Hi guys, my name is Arjun Vaidya and I'm the CEO of Dr. Vaidya's. I hope you like what you heard. If you want more content on health and Ayurveda in the 21st century, please click the subscribe icon. We've got a lot more coming for you.